Yes, it's that wonderful time of year when it's way too wet and cold to be flinging foam outside. But we're still excited to get new blasters that we probably won't be able to effectively use for several months. At least for us Northern Hemisphere folk. You people down in the Southern Hemisphere, you're probably used to this already. We're talking about the holidays and how it's normally snowy and rainy up here. And I figured now would be a good time to actually talk about what I think are blasters in 2022 that you should be picking up. We're gonna cover the entire gambit of pretty much everything at every price range, from stock to super stock to stock but modified to third party to 3D printed blasters. Of course, the optimal time to be doing this video would have been last week, but we know how good I am at dropping the ball at this point. And this is where I get to make some choices and then defend those choices against the onslaught of fanboys out there. And that's my favorite thing to do, to argue against my hypothetical nemesis that probably doesn't even exist. And of course, I'm probably gonna forget something, or I made a really dumb choice. So make sure you let me know down in that comment section. And while you're down there, maybe hit like, maybe hit subscribe. We're really close to that 200,000. But first, a portion of this video is sponsored by Racketon. Racketon is a service that gives you cash back when you shop online. But not just cash back, they also help you find an excellent deal. Install their extension into your browser, and you can start getting cash back for shopping at all of your favorite places. And the amount of cash back you can get sometimes is ridiculous. I went to Walmart.com and I was looking at what they had on their website to sell, because obviously Walmart sells some of the best blasters. And wouldn't you know it, I could literally get 12% cash back on everything I bought there. That is not an insignificant number. On top of the cashback, Racketon also has an automatic coupon applier from a massive database that is updated regularly. So not only can you get cash back, but you can also get coupons applied that you probably didn't know about, and better yet, sometimes you can get both. So save some money when you're shopping right now, and thanks to Racketon for sponsoring this video. Right now, if you sign up using the link down in the description and make a qualifying purchase, you will get a $40 sign-up bonus, which is insane. Buy a blaster, get $40 cash back, buy more blasters, and the cycle just repeats itself. So if you can find any of the products I'm talking about, like Walmart.com or Target, you can save even more. So Racketon is great if you're looking for any of those stock Nerf blasters, like the first pick on this list, the Nerf Ultra Select. Well, I know what you're saying here, but the Ultra Select is a really good stock blaster, and better yet, it's on deep discount pretty much everywhere. The Ultra Select is a full auto Ultra blaster that also carries 2 magazines, and its unique gimmick is you can swap between both mags. It comes with 20 darts, 10 of the original inaccurate, longer range, I guess, Nerf Ultra darts, but also 10 of the brand new Nerf Ultra AccuStrike rounds, which get a little bit less range, but they make up for it with way better accuracy. And Ultra is a great choice for those stock-only Nerfers. Not only do the darts fly pretty far, but if they hit you, they don't have a lot of impact force, just enough for you to feel it. So it's a good choice for younger Nerfers or those who just don't want to play hard. If you find this blaster for 20 to 30 bucks, I think it is an excellent buy, especially before it disappears, because it does have an upgrade path because it's a flywheeler. Up next is probably one of the best blasters that Nerf has made this year, and that is the Moto Blitz from the Elite 2.0 line. The Moto Blitz is just fun. Not only is it a very good bullpup semi-auto blaster that uses a flywheel system, but it also has the undermounted air-powered shotgun, which fires 6 darts and is absolutely fantastic. Better yet, not only was it a pretty inexpensive blaster at about $35, but it does regularly go on sale. Even if you have a bullpup blaster like the Raven, this is an awesome choice because your Raven probably doesn't have an undermounted 6-dart shotgun. And of course, it has a dedicated upgrade path, meaning this blaster can hit pretty much whatever velocities you want it to, depending on how much time and money you want to put into it. Also from Elite 2.0, we got the Trailblazer RD8. This is a really accessible blaster right now that is at a pretty good price point of anywhere between $10 and $18. And it's a hammer shot, and it's kind of good for those of you with smaller hands. I personally don't gravitate to this blaster much, but I know it's a fan favorite. It does hold 8 shots over the original 5 of the hammer shot, and it is completely moddable despite being an Elite 2.0 blaster. This makes the Trailblazer an excellent choice if your kind of games are where something like the Trailblazer would be useful. Or heck, buy 2 of them and go akimbo. Another really good addition that doesn't break the bank is the Alpha Auto 72 from Adventure Force, or in this case, Buzzbee. While this blaster isn't going to blow you away on anything other than the fact that it holds 72 darts, it's a blaster that kind of fills a role. Having high capacity full length dart blasters isn't exactly common in the hobby. It's really easy to fill up its 72 dart drum on the fly, and has a slow but usable rate of fire. And being a flywheeler, once again, it is moddable. Problem is the drum really likes to spin and skip, so you have to be really careful when using it so you don't shift the drum into a position where you're not firing a dart. I would recommend doing something like holding the drum if you're moving from location to location. A blaster that's a really good recommendation but might require some tinkering that I still think is worth talking about is, of course, the Adventure Force Pro, Deuce Pro. The Deuce Pro is a 6-shot revolver that comes with extra cylinders, a holster, and hits that high power that you expect for an Adventure Force Pro blaster at over 160 FPS. The problem is the early models had an issue where they would skip cylinders or just not rotate in general. That problem can be fixed by simply swapping out the rotation spring with something like a pen spring, but this is also later into the cycle that problem could be fixed by now. I'm not entirely sure. But considering you can get it for well under its asking price now, and it comes with a holster for your extra cylinders, and it's really easy to reload on the fly or pop out the entire cylinder and get a fresh reload in there, and it's a revolver? Yeah, there's a lot to love, and for most people, this blaster is a primary. It may be the only thing they ever need. And since we're talking about some pro stuff, let's talk about the Vulcanator. The Vulcanator is a dual-magged, very inexpensive full auto flywheeler that is absolutely awesome. The mags stick out in a V-shaped configuration and only fires from one mag at a time, but it will effortlessly swap between magazines when one side is empty. Now for HVZ, this is absolutely fantastic because you have full auto for an inexpensive price. You can fire darts down range, and when you notice it shift from an empty magazine to the other one, you can reload that empty magazine while still having darts on tap to be able to fire, and can cycle between the two as you go around. Meaning your ammo capacity is not only much higher than it normally would be, but you never really have to worry about running dry like you would with another blaster where you have to remove the magazine and insert a new one. And who knows what will happen in those precious seconds when you are reloading. And for its inexpensive price tag that is also regularly going on sale, for a lot of people, the Vulcanator is a must buy. Even if you have everything you think you need, you don't have this, and it has a good niche in HVZ. Or even just cover fire. But the Vulcanator isn't the only thing that Dart Zone is giving us. What if you really want to reach out there and touch somebody with a foam dart? That's where the Tomcat or the Dictator come in. The Dictator is the evolution of the Conquest Pro. It has some flippy mag gimmick and stuff that you really don't need to pay attention to out of the box. It does work, however, with pretty much any normal standard Talon mag or Adventure Force Pro / Dart Zone Max magazines. It's quick to reload, powerful, and comfy, but if you want to get a little bit stronger, there's the Tomcat, a very similar blaster. However, this out of the box uses a 50-round drum when it hits over 160 FPS. What more, it's very easy to convert the Tomcat to use standard magazines. So both of them fill the same role in my opinion, but man, the Tomcat is really hard to beat for pretty much anyone. Even if you have all of the blasters, you probably don't have one that uses a 50-round short dart drum, especially when the drum is very cheap and easy to get extras of thanks to Dart Zone selling them online on their website. But I'm not gonna lie, the design of those blasters is kind of bland. So if you want something that doesn't hit as hard but still has good performance and looks flippin' awesome, that's where the X-Shot Skins line comes in. X-Shot Skins are fantastic looking blasters, but most of them are just kind of reshells of what X-Shot has already been putting out. If you've used an X-Shot blaster before, you probably know they're really good, but you also know what to expect. These do come with new darts, which are much better than their old X-Shot darts, but they're about the same compared, in my opinion, to things like waffle darts or chili darts. But they are inexpensive and they have fantastic designs, and a lot of designs at that. So if you just need a reliable Springer and you just want something that looks cool as heck with a good performance over stock Nerf, X-Shot Skins has got you covered. The next blasters we're going to talk about are going to be a little hit and miss because they are older blasters, and by the time you're watching this video, they may be gone for good or just prohibitively expensive. This is kind of the last call because normally blasters are only really accessible for like 2 years and the price kind of creeps up. So this is your chance to get something that I think is good before it may be hard to get next year. Starting off with the NERF Fortnite Heavy SR. This thing is one of the most fun blasters that you can get your hands on, and it looks fantastic. Putting this thing up on a shelf for a dresser is just amazing. Yes, it looks like somebody sat on a Barrett M82, but it is so good looking and it is so fun to use. And the price is really reasonable. So if you want a mega sniper rifle, this is a good chance to get one on the cheap that looks fantastic. Of all of the Fortnite blasters, this is one of the only ones that is any good in my opinion. Speaking of Fortnite, if you want something that I think is better than the Trailblazer RD8 from the Elite 2.0 line, you've got the Fortnite 6 shooter, or 6SH as it's known. This thing is really good. It feels the best in the hand of pretty much any hammer action blaster I've gotten my hands on. You don't have to put the barrel on it, and it does take a lot of the upgrade kits that the hammer shot already worked with. It's only got 6 rounds in it as opposed to the 8 that the Trailblazer has, but I do think that the 6 shooter is a much better blaster in my opinion. And the NERF Fortnite Flair. This is just one of the most fun blasters I've ever had my hands on, and it's really inexpensive, and if you wanted to, you can do some cool mods with it. I've seen this thing as low as $6 for sale, and I love it. You're gonna have a lot of fun with it. It's one of the more powerful Mega Dart blasters, especially in its size category, and it is just stupidly cool and fun. You could make entire game modes revolving around this blaster for how it looks and how it works. I highly recommend you pick up the Flare, especially if there's a nerfer in your life that doesn't have one. It's just an easy win. I actually thought this next blaster was already gone, but it is still for sale online on Walmart's website, and that is the Adventure Force Corner Fire. Yeah, sure, you probably have flywheelers. You probably even have dart zone flywheelers that hit about 100 FPS out of the box with a full-length dart. But does that thing whip 90 degrees and allow you to fire around corners? The Corner Fire is a specialty blaster that feels amazing, works amazing, out of the box, but the best part around it is if you ever need to use it, you'll have one. I'm serious when you might want to pick up this blaster before it's gone forever. The Matrix Fire. We're gonna talk about this one again in a little bit, but if you don't have a Matrix Fire stock, it's a really good blaster, especially for the price tag. It is a hopper-fed blaster, which could lead to some inconsistencies when firing, so there are going to be times you need to jostle it or maybe even clear a jam out of it. I wouldn't recommend it as like a solid primary, but for a secondary, this thing is so good. And it gets better, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And finally, the NERF Modulus Long Strike. The Long Strike, but the Modulus version. This is an Amazon.com exclusive, and it's fantastic because it's a complete upgrade over the original Long Strike with more attachments. It's super cool. It's a little bit pricier when it's not on sale, and it's one of those blasters that could just disappear at any time and be way too much money. So get this one while you can if you think the Long Strike looks as good as I think it does, because the Long Strike is fantastic. It's one of the best designs Nerf has ever made. The NERF Shell Strike. This blaster isn't very good, but this blaster's fun. And this blaster right now is pretty cheap, and it's already disappeared once on me. I'm worried it'll disappear and we'll never see it again. So for an inexpensive, completely different Nerf blasters, there's basically nothing else like a pistol that uses a shell right now. I think the Shell Strike is awesome. It's one of my favorite blasters of all time. It kinda has some mod potential, but not really. It's just so freaking fun to use. If there's a stock war, you will have so much fun with the Shell Strike. And finally, the Saturn. I know, you never think this thing would go away, but it's one of those blasters where I think it's gonna get a little long in the tooth and it's gonna disappear, and who knows if anything will be able to replace how cool and fun it is. This is one of the last Nerf blasters made before Hasbro went completely insane and started cutting corners everywhere. It is a quality, awesome blaster, has some mod potential, and it's just insanely fun. So if you don't have one, you might want to think about picking it up. If you know somebody who doesn't have one, that's an awesome gift. Now these next ones are kind of like, they're blasters that are pretty good. They might be harder to find on deal or discount, but they're getting up there in years, so they might disappear completely. But we need to talk about them because they have some awesome mod kits for them. Let's start off with the Pharaoh with the Worker Short Dart Kit installed. I need to do a full video on this still, but the reason why this is so good is because this is 150 FPS. Peaky prime. There's nothing else really that can do that, and on top it's just a really awesome shell. It's fit for short dart mags. If you have a modder in your life, the short dart kit for a Pharaoh or both of them is gonna make them happy. No, it's not the highest performing thing ever, but good luck getting another blaster that will hit that hard with that little effort. Really, all you need is a screwdriver and a pair of snips to cut out some plastic near the front to fit the barrel in there, and it's so good. Do not sleep on this kit or this blaster with this kit installed. Remember the Matrix Fire? We were talking about it? Well, there's a thing with this blaster that should have been incredibly obvious to everyone, but somebody, I forget your name at the moment, but I'll have your name on screen, made a mag adapter, like a standard Nerf mag adapter for this blaster to completely bypass the hopper, and the rate of fire is just dumb. The Matrix Fire can fire darts so freaking fast. It puts pretty much everything else to shame. It's fantastic, and that's another reason why you should consider getting a Matrix Fire, because not a lot of things are going to be able to hit that rate of fire. Now, the Tomcat is awesome. So how do you make the Tomcat better? Well, Bobo Innovations made some stability upgrade parts for the Dart Zone Tomcat that completely eliminates any of the slack, that makes it a far easier prime to use, but also gives you the option of putting on like a different pump grip and stuff on it. This makes your Tomcat much more rigid, much better to use, and is pretty much mandatory if you want to take your Tomcat to the next level. The Moto Blitz. You want that thing to do better, right? Who doesn't? It's a flywheeler. Just drop a new cage in it, do a little bit of wiring, throw in a Lipo battery. All of these things can be bought from outofdarts.com, and you got yourself an absolute monster. Plus, modifying the underslug shotgun is as easy as just plugging the pump with a thing of hot glue. So really, this is just the best blaster ever. The NERF Regulator. I'm surprised this is still obtainable for a reasonable price. In fact, right now I saw it for as low as $33. But to make it better with a little bit of soldering, you can put in the Regulator Upgrade Kit, which allows you to throw in a Lipo and pretty much make this thing a dedicated primary while still having the ability to use select fire. Keep in mind, this is only for full-length darts. The Regulator will not work with short darts or anything like that, but this kit and this blaster together is one of the least expensive select fire, super stock, or a little bit above super stock performing blasters you can get your hands on, and I highly recommend it. Or if all else fails, you can buy a Strife. They are still available on Amazon.com, and you can put whatever you want in it. Seriously, just type in NERF Strife and look at all the different things you can get from everywhere. Out of Darts, eBay, Amazon, they all have upgrade parts for the Strife. And there's some awesome things you can do. You can completely change Strife to do whatever you want. Want a Strife to hit over 200 FPS? Go to Band of Blasters and buy a Banshee cage. You can do anything with a NERF Strife, and that's why we love the NERF Strife. All right, we've talked about stock, we've talked about super stock, we talked about modifying super stock. Now we're gonna talk about the blasters that you know you want if you're hard in on NERF. They cost a little bit of money and sometimes they go on sale, but you know you're gonna be happy with them. The Worker Cheetah 2.0, one of the cheapest blasters in this category, and it's a blaster that I've neglected to talk about. Yes, it's a mag-fed night finder, essentially, that can hit up to 200 FPS out of the box. You do have to pull the thing back, pull the barrel forward, push the barrel back to index a dart out of the magazine, and then fire. But that's pretty much all you need. It's not that much of a reloading process, and for the power that you can get and the ease of use this blaster offers you, it is a fantastic buy. The Worker Phoenix 2.0. If you want to have a good flywheeler and don't want to put any of the work into it, well, you can buy a Worker Phoenix 2.0. Full auto with adjustable rate of fire, and hits up to about 160, 170 FPS with a triple flywheel cage that sounds like a lawnmower. But at its price bracket, especially with no modification whatsoever and a super cool looking shell, it's easy to understand why people like the Phoenix 2.0. But it gets a little bit better because, of course, there's a select fire version that you can buy with the select fire kit pre-installed. Sometimes this is going to be a Chinese version. Apparently there is an English version. Either way, there are translations for the menus online, and it's not that hard to learn. And of course, you get that cyberpunk aesthetic anyway with the, like, you know, foreign characters on a screen on your blaster. It just feels awesome to use. But you can also buy this kit and easily put it in your blaster with no soldering whatsoever. It does bring the price point up to like $230, $250, but you're getting a select fire fully customizable blaster at that price tag, which is super cool. These two blasters I'm somewhat conflicted on. One of them is much easier to get than the other, but I don't think you should ignore the other. That is the Worker Swift and the S100. The Worker Swift is available pretty much anywhere, and the upgrade parts for the Swift are not only stupidly easy to drop in because the entire blaster is meant to be broken apart with only 3 screws removed, but that means you can tune your Worker Swift to do anything from like 100 FPS all the way up to 300 FPS with pretty much no modification whatsoever. Swap out the spring, swap out the barrel, you're good to go. At about $200 plus more for the upgraded parts, it is a more expensive blaster, but it's a pretty good one. There is the Harrier blaster that's coming out from Worker in the very near future. I guess it launches early next year. Nobody knows if that's a replacement for the Swift, but the Swift in general still has so much stuff around it, and since it might be replaced, some Swift parts could be on sale, and you're still getting a good blaster. I put the S100 on here as well because it is comparable to the Swift in price, although it's usually only available from overseas companies like Monkey Mods. And I did have some issues with the brittle plastic on mine, but that stuff has been changed. The price went up about $20, so it's about $170 before shipping, but this is one of the nicest blasters I've ever used. You do have to put it together. It's not a very hard thing to do, but if you're a small kid or you have no patience whatsoever, just get a Swift. But I think for the price point, considering that you pay the full price and you get the whole thing up to 300 FPS, is kind of hard to ignore. And the ball bearings on the Prime is what makes the S100, in my opinion, a much nicer blaster to use than the Swift. But the S100 also has a more realistic profile, even if it is a transparent blaster. So weigh your options. I really like the S100, and I don't think it's talked about enough in the hobby. And if you're remotely interested in it, I think it's something that you should really consider picking up. If you already have a Swift, don't even bother. But if you're looking at one or the other, the S100 is a debatably good option. The Worker Nightingale. You want a small, compact, mag and grip fed flywheel semi-auto pistol? That's what the Nightingale is, and for not a whole lot of money, you can get a good blaster. Good enough that for some games, it's the only blaster you need. It does use its own new magazine. It's an angled mag that's different from previous ones, but they're not very expensive to get your hands on. Comfortable, lightweight, snappy, and amazing blaster for the price. If you want a Springer version of that, you can get the S200 Fire Rat or Viper. I don't have a Viper. I do know it's an upgraded version of the Fire Rat, but if you want to get the Fire Rat, they're both really good blasters. They're compact sidearms that are Springers, but with that mag and grip pistol design, and it is fantastic if you're gonna use your sidearm for more than something that you grab when your main blaster is needing to be reloaded or jammed. Very similar to the Worker Nightingale, but they're pretty much the same blaster for different groups of people. How about the best shotgun in the hobby? This is kind of a weird one because some games might not let you use the most effective ammo type for this blaster. It is a shell-fed magazine and tube shotgun that works identically to how you want a shotgun to actually function, but the shells only hold one dart at a time, but they will hold up to 4 of the 50 caliber foam balls, which Monkey Mod sells the Firefly, but they also sell the 50 caliber foam balls. Put 4 of those balls in a shell, load into the blast, and you've got essentially buckshot with a Nerf blaster, and it is magical. However, because those are kind of hard to see, hard to pick up in grass and stuff like that, some games may consider them littering and may not let you use them. So if you go this route and they won't let you use it, like, make sure you run it by the people organizing your game. But if they will let you, you have the coolest shotgun in the entirety of Nerf. Nothing even remotely competes right now. And of course, we can't forget about Colonel Wasp's other blaster, maybe my most recommended blaster if you can get your hands on it, the Colonel Wasp 76. This thing is a kit that you have to put together. It's not that hard to do though, because most of the blaster is already assembled for you. It's a fantastic, it is a full auto Springer, and it has a good rate of fire. It shoots up to 220 FPS out of the box. It uses normal Talon mags. It's everything you could possibly love. It is a wonderful, wonderful blaster that I cannot recommend enough. Seriously, you should probably get the 76 if you can. Obviously, these things require lipos and stuff like that, but whew, I mean, speaking of that, how about some supplies? Why not lipos? If you don't have a lipo setup and you want to get a blaster that uses a lipo setup, Out of Darts or Amazon will sell everything you need, from the batteries to the chargers. On top of that, get a case that you can store your lipos in, or a lipo fire bag, because if neglected, they can just explode. But I was scared to use lipos. I've used them for years, have never had any problem. If a lipo swells, you just gotta dispose of it. A lot of people want to get into this high-end Nerf, and with the Nerf Gel Fire, Nerf themselves are even using lithium polymer batteries now, so now might be the time to get a couple of them and boost up your blaster game to the next level. Speaking of which, soldering. Doing flywheel blasters requires you to solder most of the time. If you want to buy a pre-made blaster that already has that stuff done, it costs a lot of money, but soldering is not something you should be afraid of, because for $15 off Amazon, or about $15 to $20 at your local hardware store, you can get everything you need to start soldering and just watch a 3-minute YouTube video, and you'll know everything you need to know about soldering. Next up, we're going to talk about a couple of worker things that require some effort to put together, 3D printed or otherwise. And the first up, because of the Out of Darts sale that is going on right now on outofdarts.com, the Worker Dominator is on clearance. That frightens me, because this blaster is one that I really love. However, you have to do the entire blaster build yourself. It does not come pre-assembled. That means you do have to do some soldering. You have to put stuff together. It's a kit blaster, but that also unlocks the potential for you to use 44 dart magazines without reloading. And the Dominator is awesome. It is the heavy assault rifle kind of game build of Nerf, and I love it. And with the magazines and everything being on clearance for a stupidly low price from Out of Darts, full auto everything ready to go, I can't recommend it enough. It's just something that you may want to pick up before it's gone forever, and Out of Darts is selling it at an absolute steal, in my opinion. Next up, we've got some 3D printed stuff, and I want to talk about a blaster that I haven't talked about on this channel in a very long time that I think is still worth picking up, especially at the stupid screwball low price that Out of Darts is currently clearancing it on, and that is the Worker Esper. Now, the Esper is actually a Captain Slug design. Worker licensed 2 of his blasters, the Caliburn and the Esper, and the Esper Worker one is a blaster that I still have that still works fine. It uses elastic bungee cords and Talon magazines. It's got a pump action and can hit over 150 FPS, so I absolutely love this thing. And for the price Out of Darts wants, yeah, pick them up. Like, seriously, it's a fun blaster to build, and then you have something that's small, compact, and ready to go. And it's bungee powered, which is something you probably don't have otherwise. How about the Slab? The Slab is one of the best Springer blasters that you can get in the hobby right now. And this is a 3D printed blaster that you could buy as a kit of parts, or of course completely pre-assembled from a variety of sources. I'm going to list Out of Darts and of course Silver Fox Industries, and they're awesome. It's a lever action mag fed, it's buttery smooth, it shoots hard, it can be accurate with the right scar muzzle on it. I love it. The Slab is undoubtedly the hottest blaster of the season. I can't recommend it enough, but because it's a 3D printed blaster, even if you put your orders in right now, it may not arrive before the holidays, and it's still completely worth the wait, and anybody getting a Slab is gonna be happy. Now, if you want something that's fun and effective and works unlike anything else you're gonna have in your foam flinging arsenal, how about the Shellington Arms Winchester? GDOP and Heath Heel have made one of the coolest blasters yet, an actual functional Winchester Nerf blaster that can hit hard. Yes, the Winchester is 3D printed, it's going to be using shells, but you got that authentic lever action design, and it is a joy to use. The Winchester is a different approach than the Slab. The Slab is awesome. The Slab is a super competitive blaster. The Winchester uses shells, but it keeps that svelte profile that lever actions are known for. So if you want that realistic lever action, you need to pick up a Winchester. And the last blaster on this list is one that I can really only recommend to the most hardcore of foam fanatics, and that is the Ranger Series Mega Sniper. This behemoth is not cheap, but it is unlike anything you will get your hands on, and it is just fantastic to use. It is not meant for kids. It's barely even safe for your local Nerf war, but there is something magical about flinging a mega dart at over 220 FPS. People often complain about the prices of 3D printed stuff because they don't seem to understand that while these are 3D printed, which takes days to print out for one of these blasters, I might add, it's also hand built. And in the case of the Ranger series, they're hand tested and everything is finalized before they go out the door. And there's really nothing else like it. It is the apex of mega dart shooting blasters. And yeah, that price tag is high, but Spitfire Products, it's so worth it. If you can rationalize this, it is so worth it. And if you want to tell a Nerfer you really love them, this is a great option to buy. Plus, of course, being 3D printed, you can have it customized in a variety of different colors and configurations. Of course, I will have links to everything I've talked about down in the description below. It's gonna be a long one, but holy crap, thank you once again for sitting through this long video. If I forgot something you think should be on here, please let me know down in the comments section. And thanks again to Racketon for sponsoring a portion of this video. After all, if you want to get stock blasters, especially the good ones from places like Walmart, why not just get an automatic cashback bonus? I'm Vulcanator, thank you very much for watching this video. Chances are if you got all the way in the end, you like what to do here, so please hit like, get subscribed, ring the bell, leave a comment, do all that algorithmic garbage to help our channel grow so you can help our hobby grow. And of course, I hope to see you in an entirely different video. And stay tuned because this is a hint for what's coming up next.
You gotta